Your
Weird
turn.
sense of pressure all of a sudden. Ah.
Mothered by the law and fathered by order, worshipping the god emperor Dagon Embyron Helion the 18th, the all-father of the current reign of the Helion Imperium.
What was the other name? Dagon and what?
Dagon Embyron Helion. So Dagon, Embyron, Embyron.
Okay, 1 second. I think it's out. I needed my eraser because I spelled both of those wrong.
Dagon, Dagon,
Agon.
Embyron, Embyron.
Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Ron.
Helion the 18th, the all-father of the current reign of the Helion Imperium. And your name is Joanne Diosa?
Yes.
Okay.
Joan.
Joan Diosa. Okay. You resided within the heart of an empire, living on the planet Pecatum Absender 99, or PA 99. Raised for battle and bloodshed. It was all you were ever trained to think about. Nothing else mattered besides the eternal servitude towards your emperor. Your training was very harsh, and it started at a young age, and every day was exhausting. Whenever you did have time to rest, the thought of, will it ever end, or will I have to die to get rest, would sometimes cross your mind. You would shake off the dark thoughts as you would think there has to be something more than a living hell. The years passed by, and life didn't change too much, however. Except the fact that you grew up, got better at being a soldier for the Imperium, and before you knew, the Imperium had a place for you in one of its Hell Knight orders. The Order of the Rack, a Hell Knight faction that is ranked amongst the most loathed by the public of Andromeda. It is the order that has a reputation for raiding the homes of those who speak out against the status quo, and for breaking up groups of malcontents before they become guilds, unions, or revolutionaries. They are the enemies of foreign ideals and innovations. Art and philosophy are viewed as wasteful or dangerous, especially when they meet in conjunction with one another. None can say how many archives Hell Knights of the Rack have destroyed, or how many thousands of data disks of unique stories, songs, and philosophies they have burned or erased in the shadow of Citadel Ravad, the capital ship of the Order of the Rack. But it was only until after you were given assignment and your crest within the Order that your ideals would change against the Imperium. These people did some horrible, awful things, and you would soon come to realize that this wasn't the life you wanted to lead. Currently, you are on transport to the planet Holloman 4, a planet that is covered in ice and snow except for a large portion of its equator. The equator itself is a massive, humid jungle and swamp that is really the only habitable place upon the planet. You're making the journey here to become a fully fledged Hell Knight, as in order to take on the ranks of one, each person within the Order must go through and survive a trial. You, as of now, are in your bunk room aboard the transport waiting to land, and over the intercom someone speaks a well-known verse of a poem. It is one that is read to almost every child within the Imperium who is born on PA 99. Almost like the Pledge of Allegiance, children are told to speak and repeat it within the school, and it has always sent chills to your spine. Lock and load your guns. Armageddon has begun. The rivers of sinners' blood flow to our delight. Only those pure in heart will see our kingdom come. Trust in these words. When sinners talk, you answer with your gun. We, the Helion Imperium, pave the way for paradise. We leave no stone unturned and no mercy for the non-believers. We let sinners burn. An egregious form of propaganda and philosophy taught by the Imperium, and no wonder many choose to oppose them or seek allegiance to not be killed. It fills your head with doubts and an underlying hatred, and as it does, you feel the presence of sorts within your room. It chills you down to the very bone, and your breath becomes almost visible. A figure sits in the corner looking your way, a shadow that sits idly by and still, unmoving, You call out to it, but it doesn't move or respond, and as you blink, it disappears. And so does the chilling feeling. This isn't the first time that it's happened. Several times before, actually. Each time the feeling of being watched becomes stronger. And not always is the figure noticeable, but each time you've witnessed it, its form becomes more recognizable as something. A small time passes and your transport finally lands upon the planet, on the far outskirts of a town named Skirter. It's cold, as snow slowly falls down. You are led outside by Hell Knights of the Order, and given instruction to travel on foot to the town. You are left by yourself and with your equipment. What would you like to do?
What do I see?
What you see right now as the transport closes its doors and recedes its stairs, you see it standing behind you, snow is falling around you, and you just see what appears to be just like an ice sheet. You can see a little distance, like a few miles away. It's not super clear, but you do see the small resemblance of a town way beyond.
And do I have anybody, like, so I'm clearly, like, because you already said I'm kind of, like, my ideals have changed, and I'm not really, like, for what they have set me up to do at this point. Do I have any eyes on me? I don't have any eyes on me?
Not that you know of.
And how cold is it?
It's about -20. It's pretty cold.
Pretty cold. Like, survivable cold or no?
From the current equipment that you're wearing, you might need to find shelter somewhat soon.
Okay.
You don't know if you'd be able to make it to the town, but you could try.
I'm gonna try to go the opposite direction.
Okay. You turn around and start heading around the ship itself. Make a perception check.
So, perception, I got 12.
12? Okay. As you're walking around the side of the shuttle itself, it's not a huge transport. It's about maybe 2 stories high and maybe 200-300 feet long. But as you're walking around the shuttle itself, you notice that there are tiny little cameras, like kind of panning and like turning towards you. You also see when you come around the front, there is a blast shield that's clear. You can see people inside, kind of looking down towards you, and on their arms they're typing some sort of memorandum on it, like just looking at you.
I'm make a run for it.
Okay. You take off sprinting towards the unknown. You run for a good 20-30 minutes. Make a fortitude save.
And I add my saving, like...
Yep, fortitude
total.
saving throw.
Okay. 13.
13. The cold is biting, and you feel it start to pierce the suit that you're wearing. It chills you not quite down to the bone, but you gather if you stay out here in the elements for too long, it's not going to be pretty. But nobody, from what you can tell, seems to be chasing after you.
Okay.
They've just left you alone. On the ship, there was maybe about 40 to 50.
I can't overtake that. That's a no.
Okay. You again start moving for maybe a good another 20-30 minutes. Make a fortitude save and a perception check. As you're walking through this severe cold weather, you take 9 points of cold damage and are considered fatigued. You try and look around as best you can to see any sort of cover, but here it's basically just snow. There are some indentations and bumps within the snow itself, but there's nothing like particularly like big that can form some sort of shelter unless you were to build it yourself. But you feel the cold kind of sap your strength as you can no longer move. You sit there in the cold and almost panic. but you're just out here by yourself.
There's like nothing, there's no one, there's...
You have been left alone on this planet.
Oh. I guess my only other option is to try to just get back to that town.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. You try your best to work your way back. The cold biting and getting down to your bone even more.
They didn't chase me. They didn't care.
You take another 7 points of cold damage.
Oh my gosh, I'm almost down.
As you continue your way back, you go back about the same distance, and the weather starts to clear a little bit. It's still very freezing cold,
okay.
But you do off in the distance, you do see the shuttle still sitting there.
I'm gonna go back in the shuttle and try to warm up.
Okay. It's pretty far away. You try your best to get there. You take another 7 points of cold damage.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm down.
As you get to the outskirts of the shuttle, you fall to your knees as you can no longer feel your appendages, your limbs, your face, and you black out into the snow.
Nice. Yeah, I'm at 0 hit points.
You don't know how much longer
made it.
or how much time passes, but eventually you come to, but you're not in the shuttle.
And I'm just...
That's the end. You fucked up. You made a bad decision.
This is the definition of fuck around and find out.
No, you hear, as you're waking up, the scurrying of small feet. And you can hear voices off in the distance as, she's coming to, go, get up. Kind of voices. You're sitting in a generally warmer environment. You have blankets kind of over you. You're in a small, almost wooden hut, basically. It's very archaic around you. There's a small fire just off to your side, as well as like something boiling on the stove. Whether it's water or food, you're not quite sure. The air is thick and it smells almost rancid. There doesn't seem to be anyone immediately around you, but you are sitting in what appears to be like a house or a living space that multiple people appear to living in.
And so what's my health points now? Did I just revive all of them?
You have your stamina points back.
My stamina points back.
But you only have 1 HP.
1 HP and all my stamina points?
Yep, stamina points are back.
And what's around me?
Around you, what you're sitting down on now looks to be like a higher platform made of wood. There are like blankets over you and like a rug underneath of you. There's multiple rugs like on the floor itself. There is a middle area also made out of wood that has like plates and vegetation set up on it that extend towards the ceiling that looks to be like holding up parts of the ceiling. There's like one singular window on your right side that is open and kind of like moving with the wind. There is a front door that is just like what appears to be like furs for like a door. There is a stove made of metal that has some fire burning inside of it and stuff boiling on top.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the window and kind of look outside to see what my surroundings are.
Okay. You go to the window and make a perception check.
Oh, that's way better. Unnatural 20.
Okay. Looking out the window, you see very much the outsides of like the same building that you're in right now. There are multiple what appear to be like houses or huts that are lined along this section. There are people sitting down and gathering what they can of like different sort of fruits or vegetables. A lot of the people here, they don't look healthy. They are very thin looking and sickly looking. A lot of them are frail and like trying to do their best to try and survive here. The kids themselves, they almost look frightened or not in like the best of moods. You can see there are black figures kind of walking around the area, adorned in what appear to be like almost spiked black powered armor, with skulls on each side. You know them as Hell Knights. They are patrolling the area itself. Whether they have like taken control of this area or they're in charge of this area, you're not 100% sure. You do know that the town that you were heading to was more of an archaic kind of town. They don't really have a whole lot of technology here. The town itself is a mine, or a mining town. What they mined was for like cold iron and nokel, which both have like somewhat magical properties against certain types of enemies, like Fae or undead or stuff like that. It's a very profitable mine within the Hellion Imperium itself, and you were heading to this town for your trial, but you didn't know what that would entail. But your guess, as of right now, is you were either picked up by someone outside the city or part of the Imperium and brought you into the town to try and maybe complete your task. You're not sure. But at this moment, there are people around, but they don't look friendly.
Okay. Is there any... You said I'm in blankets. Is there any way to, like, kind of adorn myself in blankets and other cloth-like materials, or is there any clothing nearby that I can kind of put over my armor to disguise myself?
Make a disguise check.
Oh my gosh, the disguise is actually on there. Oh no. 4.
4.
Yeah, it's a 3.
You try and like gather stuff around here, but nothing's like big enough or like
oh God, I
bulky
look like
enough
Thor
to try
in
and
that one movie.
like cover yourself up, like, to make you look like one of the people here. They themselves aren't adorned in like furs or any like sort of blankets themselves. They have like casual, like almost coveralls and like working gear. So you kind of stick out for the most part.
Can I take, like, okay, so this is gonna, I'm doing a stretch here. Can I, like, stick my hands in the burned portion of the fire and try to accumulate, like, some soot to, like, just rub over my face to at least try to give me something?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, make another disguise check.
13.
13? Okay. You take some of the cinders and cold charcoal that is kind of in the fire pit or off to the side of it and try and place it on yourself to try and make you look... Conceal
darker,
yourself a little
dirtier.
bit more. Yeah, to try and make yourself blend into the surroundings more. But as you're doing this, you do hear footsteps outside the building that you're in as the curtains kind of open up and a Hell Knight appears at the door itself. As he walks in, he kind of looks up at you as you're like putting this stuff on your face. And you must be the initiate. You know, I thought there would be bringing me something a little bit more better to work with, but guess you'll have to do. How'd you try to ride off? Didn't really work out, did it?
Clearly.
Well, in any case, you're here now, and whether you're ready or not, you're coming with me. As a couple more Hell Knights come in the room itself and kind of usher you out with him. You somewhat recognize the guy that comes in. He's older in stature, has blondish hair, is human himself, but his skin is very pale, almost whitish gray. But he is one of the older higher-ups of the Orders of the Rack, and his name is Rickmar Alamanzer. He takes you with him towards the center of the town where the mining operation actually takes place. In the center of town, it's not really that they have like different mine shafts that they go into. The entire center looks to be like they've circular like dug out the core and started digging straight down into the dirt itself. The mine goes quite a ways down, and from the center of it there is some sort of like smoke or gases like coming off from the inside that don't particularly look non-toxic. But you look around you more, and the people here, they look desperate and they look starved. They're weak and they're scared, and they grovel when you pass by, and some even try and come up to you for handouts as the other Hell Knights just kind of push them away and slap them away. Near town, there is a river that kind of runs off on the side that supplies them with food and water. But year after year, that supply has kind of dwindled down with food, and the people here look it. They are very starved and skinny. As you get to the center of town, you can see a different smoke rising off the side of the mines as there is a large bonfire burning. Rickmar kind of goes up to the bonfire itself and has you follow him, as there are push carts of just like books and art and data discs and all kinds of like philosophy and general stuff like that, but he is throwing them into the fire, and you know what he's doing. They hold them every now and again. They're called clarity pyres, where they burn books and art and old like rules that they have changed to try and force feed these people like orders of law. They come up with new ways of books and theorems to give to the people to try and learn from. And the old stuff they just end up burning. Rickmar kind of looks to you. Well, since you're here, would you be of assistance in tossing some fuel? We're in the process of changing the curriculum.
Well, it doesn't seem I have much of a choice.
You look over, and near you is a pushcart filled with paper books, music discs, and photos of families.
Okay. Ugh. And how many Hell Knights are around him right now?
Around him and you, there are 2 behind you, and then there are several others kind of patrolling the mine.
Ugh. Okay. I reluctantly start throwing stuff in.
Okay.
But I end up trying to, cause like, what's my family situation like? It doesn't sound like I really had much of like a family growing up.
Not really. What family you did have, like, they cared for you, and like it was a nice family growing up.
Yeah.
As far as it could be within the Imperium. But once you turned of a certain age, you were just forced into the military. Like, there was no going back after that, basically.
And what type of, like, photos are these? Are these, like, personal photos, or are these, like document photos?
They are personal, they are old document photos,
Okay.
Stuff that they are changing. They are, like, family pictures. They are, like, pictures that have been taken for fun or for art.
So I'm gonna try to, like, grab a couple family photos and, like...
Okay, make a stealth check.
Dear God. 7.
7. You try and kind of pocket some of them, and the knights behind you kind of like hold your hand and stop you, and those will be going in too, and throw them into the fire.
Of course they will.
Rickmar speaks up again. There's a lesson to learn in all of this. I don't expect the townsfolk to absorb it, but I've been wrong before. If they had just followed regulations, we wouldn't be here. But enough of that. Would you walk with me some more? Your initiation awaits. And he calls to one of the knights that are over patrolling. He calls to one of them to keep stoking the fires, as he doesn't want it to burn out before he's back. Your initiation is explained to you by Rickmar to take place outside of town near the river where the water has run stagnant. You see, we had to quell the town because of its recent outburst, and in doing so we must punish those responsible for endangering the lives of the miners. They're being kept outside, and for their punishment we'll gladly help you with your initiation. You forcibly walk with Rickmar to where the stagnant water resides, and you are absolutely horrified to see what awaits you. There are several wooden boats floating within the water, chained to nearby trees. You can hear screams of pain and agony coming from these boats, and as you get closer, you can see several Hell Knights of a different faction around the area. They are adorned in red robes that are tattered. They are wearing face helmets that are kind of come to a spiral point. You recognize these ones as Hell Knights of the Order of the Gate. They are knights that are trained in summoning entities from beyond to help with their order itself, or for training purposes, or for whatever. Getting closer and looking around, these boats that are floating and sitting in the water, there are individuals inside each of them. And like coffins, these people are being sandwiched between the boats with only their limbs and heads sticking out from the sides. They are being force-fed some type of golden, milky, syrup-like liquid. And the same liquid is being covered over their exposed bits of skin. Their skin is lacerations and cuts. But even from this distance you can tell their wounds have become infectious and gangrenous. Getting even closer, you can see insects and other small creatures eating away at the sweet liquid being poured on their bodies and eating and burrowing into their skin and flesh. Some have their eyes completely missing due to maggots, other insects, birds that have burrowed inside them and eaten away their sight. They are all in pain and anguish, yelling for death to come, but never arriving. They have all been wishing for death for weeks now, and today will be the sweet release that they shall have. As Rickmar says this, you feel a distinct familiar cold tinge down your spine, and your breath once again grows extremely cold. Across the pond of swamp water you see a dark, shadowy figure staring straight at you. Its form is now more revealed. You can see its eyes peering in the distance, flickering like flames, burning with an energy that switched from green to blue and back again. You try to speak, but before you can, the form of a thought of what to say, the figure vanishes in a swirl of dark flames and is gone. Rickmar calls out to you once more. Initiate, are you with me? Are you ready for your trial to begin?
I won't do it.
Well, even if you won't do it, it's going to happen.
I won't do it.
Then may our God have mercy on your soul. And he kind of pushes you towards the swamp itself as Hell Knights kind of point their guns towards you and force you out into the swamp itself with all the bodies and boats lying around. The Order of the Gate starts to begin a ritual using these...
This is not a good way to start on trying to not get in jail or dead.
Well, I'm not gonna do it. It's my turn. This is my turning point.
The Order of the Gate begins to start a ritual that's beginning to drain and use these broken individuals' souls as a summoning point for something from beyond. A flash of memory comes into you as you recall that each Hell Knight must defeat a denizen of Hell in a single combat to become a Hell Knight. And as their ritual sort of comes to a completion, something changes. You feel a sudden shift in the energies around you. There is almost a blast of cold, greenish-blue energy that forms in front of you and out from you, as a rift in space is almost broken and torn through. A small explosion is set off, and you close your eyes to see this bright light come through as something splashes into the water from somewhere beyond. As the light kind of fades away. It's not exactly what you're expecting to see standing out into the swamp. In the middle, there is a sort of a larger humanoid creature covered in fur, wearing general clothing almost, like almost of like a merchant or like some sort of emissary. As it gets up off the ground and kind of shakes its body off, you see that it has the head of a wolf.
I got the cool storyline.
As it clambers up and like looks around at its surroundings, and its eyes go wide as it can see the Hell Knights and you standing in an array. Its guns now pointed at it and you. It starts to take off in a distant direction as Rickmar kind of like snaps his fingers and the Hell Knights just shoot at it. It falls to the ground, unconscious. Rickmar kind of goes out to it and looks at it, looks into the water, looks back towards you, and kind of shakes his head. If only they had sent me someone more competent. And kind of looks at the other Hell Knights and just just kind of like waves his hand to like cut it off. And one of the Hell Knights just comes to the back of you and cracks the back of your head as you fall to the ground unconscious. A little while later, you come to consciousness once again. Your body is in pain. It's still cold. Almost feels like frostbite in your fingers, but not quite yet. You feel the damages that you've taken before, and you awaken in a blackened room with a clear barrier sticking out in front of you. There is the floor and walls of just made of metal, as you find yourself inside of a holding cell of some sort.
There it is. There it is.
But that is where we end the pathway of death.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Mine was a lot faster than yours.
That's because you're just like, I'm not gonna play along. No.
Well, no, because
No.
okay, so like
I'm not gonna do it.
I
No.
was like, I'm gonna run from the town because obviously, like, I want to change my path, and there's nothing, so I didn't want to die, so I had to turn around. Then I woke up in town, and you already said, like, my ideals have changed. I don't believe in what they're doing. What they were doing was messed up, so I'm not gonna abide to it. Like, I'm gonna stick to my like moral compass because number one, my theme is priest.
Yep.
So, like, I'm gonna stick to like what I believe is morally correct, and now that I feel that this is not morally correct, I'm gonna go with my beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm staying in character, mind you. Like, this isn't just me being like, I'm gonna get to the jail cell as immediately as
Speed run.
No.
No, like, I was like, okay, even if though, like, my character alignment, I couldn't just be like, yeah, let's do this, let's start killing them.
Let's kill some people, yeah. No, it makes perfect sense.
See, Dade gets it.
Because like these people are horrible people.
Oh my god, no! I was like, you're going on. I'm like, oh dear God. Ugh.
So yeah, it makes sense for almost anyone to be like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't right.
Whew.
When there are many in the order that are either being forced to do this or
Yeah.
have that belief themselves that this is correct.
You go. There's one of two ways to do it.
Yeah.
I had to pick one of two. That was really intense.
It's
though.
very
very-
Zagreus.
I guess, yeah, sure.
Very intense, like, story.
These people must die.